There's big news to go over today. Toronto Maple Leafs have made multiple moves, and in what has been an absolutely disastrous season, disastrous past 24 hours, and a crazy spur of reports, we have the Leafs making more moves surrounding a few key players. I'll write that down as well as discuss some updates and some comments following yesterday night's collapse once again. A ton to go over on this episode, folks. But before we get into it all, you're part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel. But 71% of you who are watching right now aren't subscribed. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. There's a lot to go over today, and it's a very interesting time of the year right now. The Leafs are struggling. It's been a while since things have felt this bad, and obviously the Leafs have had playoff struggles for a while, but regular season struggles, this is kind of a new thing here, and they made moves. Let's dive into the moves, and I mean, all the eyes right now are on the players, they're on the coaching staff, they're on everybody individually. There's a lot of scrutiny going on, but let's focus on some interesting things here. So Akhtiamov has been reassigned to the Toronto Marlies, so he unfortunately didn't get a chance to actually get in a game, but he's been reassigned to the Toronto Marlies. Matthews has been placed on the IR retroactive to a few days ago, November 11th, so he's going to miss some time. Cowan's been recalled, and Joseph Woll is officially back. So this is actually pretty big news here. Like, obviously, yes, there's a lot of negatives going on. Yesterday's game was nothing short of a disaster class. I don't know how on earth you lose that game. Well, I do, but we'll dive into that later. There are some big moves here. Cowan's up, Woll is up, but the unfortunate reality is, with good news is always bad news for the Leafs this year, and Austin Matthews is going to be missing significant time here, at least the next week or so. Again, it's retroactive, so he could come back in a week, but I would suspect he's going to miss the next handful of games.
Yeah, and I know what you mean, how you lose that game. Like, how do you lose that game being up in the third period? But I know how you lose that game by having, 50 less shot attempts than the other team. Absolutely horrific. And we're going to have another video on the specifics of why the Leafs are struggling so far this year. So stay tuned for that. But in terms of the moves and heading into the weekend against pretty good this year Chicago Blackhawks team, a team that they have to look out for, they can't take lightly. They're getting a couple guys back in Joseph Woll and obviously Easton Cowan. Now, Easton Cowan, I think, can help the offense maybe a little bit. He was driving a lot of the play. We'll get into the specifics of that later in the episode as well. So that could be exciting. But if your savior for the season is a 20-year-old who just came up from the OHL last year, then I'm, considering who's on this team, I don't know what to tell you at that point, right? So it's nice that he's going to be back, and I would assume that I don't know. He might be in the lineup on Saturday. We'll see. I would assume he'll be in the lineup. But Joseph Woll is an interesting storyline as well. Because if Anthony Stolarz is still hurt, does Joseph Woll start on Saturday? Does he get that start? Because he did get some time in with the Marlies as well. He was, sub 900 save percentage, which isn't great, but of course coming back from almost a 2-month layoff. So we'll see how that plays out. But I do wonder if Hildeby gets to start again, or if Joseph Woll will go on Saturday, and maybe you leave Joseph Woll for St. Louis, his hometown team, on Tuesday. So that'll be interesting. But interesting moves. Matthews can come back next week, and Brube spoke out and said that it could be a week, could be a little bit less. We'll see what happens, but he's out until at least Tuesday.
And I'm sure it could be a little bit longer as well with how things have gone this year. And yeah, Joseph Woll, I mean, if he's healthy and able to come back, which he clearly is because he's been activated the roster, I think there's a world they start him even if Stolarz is healthy, just to give Stolarz some more of a break. And also, Stolarz has not been very good as of late. There's no, ifs, ands, or buts about it. And you look into the schedule here and what they're looking like going forward. 3 losses you can see there in a row, which is very unfortunate. They should have beat, I don't even want to say they should have beat the one yesterday because they got outplayed for sure, but they could have held on to the lead there. And of course, you're going up against decent teams at this point. The Hurricanes, the Bruins are having a great year. The Kings are having an okay year. But now you're facing the Blackhawks, a couple of days off, and the Blues, the Blue Jackets, and then of course the Habs here. I mean, it doesn't get any easier, really, quite frankly, looking at it. Yeah, there is some games in here that seem to be easy on the schedule, but the funny reality is these teams that we're facing right now, the Leafs that is, they're probably seeing the Leafs as one of the easier teams with how much they're struggling and how much they've collapsed so far this season. So if they don't string together 4 or 5 wins here to end the month, things are going to get bleak really quickly because of the fact that, I mean, the Canadians are playing great, the Stars are playing great, and of course we know what the Panthers and everybody within the division is going to be doing. The Leafs are just free falling pretty quickly. Luckily, they're treading water enough to where it's not a complete disaster. They're still hovering around 500, and ultimately, the past 13 games, I think they've been above 500, 7-5-1 or something, which is absurd to think about. But hopefully, Easton Cowan can give them some jump here. He has, of course, you can see there, 4 points in 10 games, which is actually pretty good, especially for his age and things like that. And it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I will. And I think that you bring up a good point about the schedule coming up and how other teams are actually looking at the Leafs as the weaker link in their schedule because obviously they haven't been playing well. And they do have a winning record over the last 13 or whatever it is, but they're not playing well. They're not playing a caliber of hockey that you can win consistently in. Now, that being said, if you look at the standings, you're one good week away from being like first in the division, and then you end next week against the Montreal Canadiens, which is pretty ironic. So they have a big week ahead of them here. Chicago, like if you can pick up 2 points there, then you're feeling pretty good heading into next week against the St. Louis Blues team that has been a bit better as of late, but has struggled all season. You want to get revenge against Columbus. Like that's another game against Columbus. I know it's just a random Thursday game at home, but it's at home and they embarrassed you last time. So what are you prepared to do about it? That's how I look at it, right? And then we'll see if they're ready to go. And then you got Montreal. So this is a big week coming up, I think, with Cowan back in the lineup. And like you said, he's been pretty good this year in terms of driving play, scoring chances, stuff like that. So we'll see what he's able to create and where he's playing in the lineup as well, because obviously with Matthews out, they got to get a little bit more creative. So I think this is actually a big week for the team. They're still hovering around, even though they're playing horrific, unsustainable, non-consistent hockey right now. They're still in the mix still, and they're a good week away from being first in the division. And, it's just been a weird season, that is for sure.
Yeah, and looking at some things regarding Easton Cowan, I want to bring this up. He says here, the fact that Easton Cowan is in the AHL is shocking if you dive into the numbers and play driving. Among 11 NHL Leafs forwards with 100 minutes of ice time this year, here's where he ranks at even strength. So he has been really good. And there's arguments now about, like, they moved him down to AHL. It does make sense for his development and things like that, but they are a better hockey team objectively if you look at the stats only with him on the ice and with him in the lineup. And it coincides with the record as well. And you look at here, I mean, he is significantly, and again, it's not a huge sample size, and you could take little bits away from it, and you can take some things, you can say, okay, well, it's too small of a sample size, it's not worth talking about. It's not the smallest sample size, like 100 minutes, it's enough, and at this point in time, you look at the way he plays, he's been playing really good. I think there was only, out of those 10 games, maybe 2 or 3 where you could say he didn't make not a huge impact, but he didn't make a, significant impact, because he's always throwing his body around, he's doing the things that Craig Berube loves, and for him to be now back, this might be his opportunity again to really come back and make an impact, but again, it was a roster crunch. Obviously, Cal Yarncrook, all these things. David Kampf is now gone. I'm curious to see what you think about it. I don't see a reason necessarily to keep him down in the AHL when the NHL team is struggling this much and the advanced analytics favor him aside from the development. But at this point anyway, he's probably going to get heavy minutes at the NHL level with all the injuries that have happened regardless. So.
Yeah, and some of the stats and the analytics are better than other Leafs on the team, which is not a high, benchmark right now, of course. If you look around the league, like maybe technically he should be down with the Marlies to continue his development, but I do agree with you that, they're struggling right now. Why not have him up? And you need the body. Scott Laughton's out, Austin Matthews is out, right? So it makes sense to have him back up playing with the team. And I have noticed that, and Craig Berube's talked about how Craig Berube has asked all of the players to do certain things. And whether you agree with the system or not, and of course it's not working right now, that's for sure. Easton Cowan is one of a handful of guys that's doing it. He's delivering. So the coach, likes that. He's been rewarding him. Obviously, he was going to start the season on the fourth line. He played some time on the top line, then he was on the second line, right? We'll see where that falls this weekend. But, I think that he could help in terms of, play driving and how he play. He actually forechecks. Like I've seen so many guys, and a lot of people have been talking about, and we'll have another video on it, the dump and chase and how it's not working and stuff like that. He dumps it, he chases after it, he, takes the body, right? I see some other players on the Leafs dumping it and not doing anything about it. So he is playing to the system. He's trying his best. So I do wonder if he gets elevated minutes for that. So we'll see what happens this weekend. If he even factors into the lineup, I would imagine that he would, especially with some of the injuries. But the Leafs have to get going here.
Yeah, Joseph Woll's coming into a pretty rough spot right now. You can see here Joseph Woll returning to Leafs from soon. Didn't have a great appearance at 3.72 goals against average against the Marlies. I don't think they care at this point. We know he's an NHL goalie. It's just a matter of getting his feet wet. And if the alternative in Dennis Hildeby isn't playing well anyway, probably get Joseph Woll back up there. But let us know down below what your thoughts are on that crucial week for the Leafs, and also a crucial week for Dennis Hildeby to prove what he has as Joseph Woll starts to get healthy and is officially activated the roster. Thank you guys for watching. See you later.